So good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Really honored to have all of you with us. We wanted to get together and just give you an update on what is happening at your campus here in El Rito. Obviously, we had a huge year last year with all the efforts that we put in place to really solve the two big wicked problems that had been plaguing this institution for over a decade. One was about how we were going to restore career technical education to our community, and in doing so, how we were going to revitalize the El Rito campus. And those are two very complex challenges. And so it took a crazy idea and about a year's worth of elbow grease, and now we've kind of started to put the pieces in place. And so obviously the pandemic has done what the pandemic is doing, and so the timeline is affected, of course, but it hasn't stopped the efforts that we're making to get us closer to that realization. And so tonight is, I think, a celebration of the work that's happened, and really just a way to share all of this with you so that you have an update on everything that's going on. So I will start by sharing the screen here.
I turned off.
Yes. Hold on a second. Yeah. So here's our virtual work. I was going to call it a town hall, but it's really a village hall. So.
Yeah, for sure.
And here's what we're going to do. I wanted to take a moment to introduce our team. I'll give you an operational update, just the timeline and everything that we're doing, especially given the pandemic. We're going to do a virtual tour of the campus so that you can see the improvements that we made. We still have work to do, obviously, but it'll give you an update on where we're at. And then we'll finish with questions and comments. So I'm actually going to stop the share for a second. And let me, hopefully everyone can see the grid and see everyone in again. So let me start by introducing the chair of our technical trades. We poached him from Gallup, which was awesome. Convinced him to come to us. He is a real superstar, and has really helped develop the vision for where we're going. And that's Dr. Frank Loetta. So Frank, do you mind introducing yourself to the group?
Hi, sure. Thank you, Dr. Bailey. Frank Loetta. I'm the chairperson for the Northern New Mexico Branch Community College up at El Rito and Espanola. Glad to be here. It's been, a whirlwind since I got here, and it's been fun, a lot of fun, and I love it out in the El Rito area. And I can't wait to get back up there next Tuesday, hang out with John and Jason and Dr. Bailey, who's out there quite often, and Stephen. We're working pretty diligently, I would say, piece by piece. Every day we get a little bit further up there. So I'm happy to be here.
Great, thank you so much, Dr. Loetta. Next, we'll stay on the academic side. I want to introduce Stephen Skelton, who has a wonderful tie to our institution over many years. And he is joining us as our professor and guru for our plumbers and pipefitters. So, Stephen, please.
I'm Stephen Skelton, plumbing and mechanical instructor here at the El Rito campus, and I hold numerous New Mexico licenses, plumbing, master mechanical, and also journeyman plumbing and gas fitting. And thank you, all of you folks in El Rito, for this chance to share my knowledge of plumbing and mechanical systems. And I'm very proud of our multicultural diversity of our students here in northern New Mexico, and looking forward to meeting them and teaching them about plumbing and sharing their ideas and life experiences, guiding them down a pathway toward a responsible and rewarding career in plumbing. Yeah. And Frank is great. We've been working together. We're getting some really nice tools together, and we're going to have a lab with all different kinds of pipes and fittings. We're going to show how to build plumbing systems from the ground up, and we're going to have the newest tools. Instead of soldering, we can we can, what they call, press fittings together, copper or even gas fittings. We don't have to thread fittings anymore. So we've really worked hard to really have everything modern and up to date. And you know, we're really gonna really try hard. So that's what I have to say about it for now. Thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Bailey, and thank you, John and Jason, if you're here, and everybody, our Joshua, our student Senate person. So thank you all. My wife, Susan, here too. She teaches up here at Espanola, teaches nursing. So she's here with us also.
Susan, on behalf of all of us, community members, students, faculty, staff, community partners, the villagers here in El Rito, thank you to you and everyone else doing everything you can to represent and raise the next generation of our medical care workers, and the profession you've chosen has new meaning over these last 8 months in ways that we can't and will never be able to say thank you for the selfless service that you give and that your students will be giving to our community. So we really appreciate you.
Thank you.
And Stephen, we are super excited to have you on board, and we really look forward to the great things that you're going to do and share, and your talent and your knowledge with all of us. And you know, speaking of Stephen's profession and his expertise, you know, this kind of started with, hey, we need electricians and we need plumbers in our area. And so we had gone to, I was attending a conference in Los Angeles. This is about 2 years ago. And while I was there, it was a conference of a national conference of state legislators. And while I was there, I knew that there was this foundation that was there that really focuses on career tech. Took an Uber, went across town, met with this group, said, hey, I have this idea and here's what we're gonna do. And we're revitalizing this campus in northern New Mexico, and here's who we're serving. And about 6 months later, they gave us $750,000.
Wow.
And that was what we were able to use to kind of start this journey. And I think it was the catalyst for the partnerships with all those school districts and the mill levy and everything else that came after it. Well, that grant also allowed us to fund a position for someone who is really, as opposed to Dr. Loera and Stephen, that are working really on the academic side of the house. And we have an electrician educator who is, I think, potentially, we've sent out the offer was accepted, and I think that person is starting tomorrow. So they're doing the academic side of the house. Well, we needed someone to get the campus running and get all the facilities in place and the transportation. We'll talk about all that. And so we did a search for that, had a lot of applications, and the person who won that job was someone who has lived in El Rito for a long time. I don't want to give his age away. But he was actually a contemporary of Wenceslao Jaramillo, and the two of them built the campus in 1909. No, I'm kidding. So he is serving as that grant director, and he is also in that capacity serving as the campus director, and that's Mr. John Ussery. John.
Hi. It was 1976.
I might have rounded down there a little bit.
So yeah, I came out to work with Peter Van Dresser on appropriate technology, which has taken a lot of different forms, starting a wool and yarn mill in the Mountain Valley Wool Association, and bringing digital services to the clinic for a dozen years, and working in forest restoration. And in many ways, he's all tied to the college at one point or another. When I came here, this was the center. The college was the center of activity. This everything. If you had a lamb that you wanted in the freezer, they get it there. Your wife wanted a perm too. Your diesel, they could hold a diesel engine out of a semi.
Yeah.
It's amazing the capabilities that this place had. And so I was with great sadness when I found this place was basically shutting down and turning its back on the trades, and when it's been so key in things like solar adobe and many different things that have led the way before. So I'm really pleased to be able to help on this revival, and really glad to see so many friends here supporting us. This team we're assembling is quite great. I'm sorry that Jason Lewis isn't here right now. He's been helping out a lot. He just graduated with electromechanical engineering. You may know him as Blue Sun. And he's just been a real help around here. And Henry Okanya, with his 27 years of facilities up here in El Rito, really knows the place inside out. And all together, we're making a good team to move ahead. So I'm pleased to be part of that, and I see some great things coming. We have a great mission statement of try to stop the export of our youth, give them good jobs here, give them the trades that they can make good money at and raise families and be secure. So it's, I think I use the analogy that when if you buy a car that's been parked for 10 years, it doesn't matter if it only had 20,000 miles on it, you may not drive it home. There's a lot of things after things have been left alone for a while that need fixing, and we're trying to attack things from, you know, plumbing, sewers, electrical. We have 100 megabit fiber optic, but getting all the networks back up and all. It's been a challenge, but it's really great to have a team of professionals dedicated to their trades and making it possible to broaden our outreach as a college to those who want to find jobs that aren't necessarily a four-year degree, but things that can really do some good in the community. So I'm pleased to be part of this.
Thank you so much, John. And we're going to have, we'll have these folks available for some questions afterwards, because obviously as we show you this presentation, you may have specific questions that you want to ask them about the progress that we're making. So if it's okay, I'm going to go back to sharing my screen with you. And can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay. So we introduced the team. Let me give you a quick operational update. We are, obviously, when COVID hit in March and we saw it coming, Northern was the first college that moved everything online. Back in March, we were the first college in the state to announce that we were going to stay online in the fall. We were the first college to say that we were going to stay online in the spring. You get the picture. But bottom line for us is health and safety were absolutely paramount. They were the guiding forces. They've been the guiding forces. They're going to continue to be the guiding forces for strategic decisions that we're making as a college. Now, what does that mean for us in terms of Rito and the trades? The classes, for example, the classes that Stephen is teaching, we're doing with Dr. Loetta's guidance, with John's guidance. We're looking at technological solutions to try and offer alternatives to in-person education. But I'm going to go on a limb and say there are some things that, especially when you're talking about the craft trades, that you actually need to get your hands on it and to do that. So we're still planning on preparing the environment for that eventuality as well. As far as our spring semester, we are going to start everything online. And when I say everything, it's 95% of our curriculum. The only exceptions that we're making are for the nursing program. Susan can give you more on that if you have any questions. But for the nursing skills labs, there are those some of those skills labs classes that we're doing in person. And so that required complete redo of the ventilation system in their building in Española. And making sure that they had adequate PPE and everything else. And our nursing faculty, they've been superstars in this whole process. There are a couple of individual courses that are individual independent study in some of the science labs where we have one student in a program with a faculty member. Again, they're completely PPE'd up. So we are making those little exceptions, but everything else is online. We were able, and this was even before March, when we saw the virus move from Wuhan to Italy, we actually went and took philanthropic money that we had raised over the previous year and went out and bought Google Chromebooks, knowing that this was going to be a challenge. And luckily, we were able to get into that supply chain early enough so that when we finally didn't have to move everything online, we were able to, through a priority system, and we have Dr. Ivan Lopez, our provost, on with us. he and their entire team were able to prioritize students in need so that they weren't taking classes on their phone, and we were able to loan those Google Chromebooks to students for free. Now that only solved half of the problem, because the other problem is broadband access, and I can give you more of that in Q&A. But the latest now is working with the county. It looks like we're also going to be able to do the same thing with jetpacks and hotspots, so that students aren't even going to have to travel in their car to a Wi-Fi location with their Google Chromebook to take classes, because that's just not optimal. But that still requires cell phone signal. And, you know, obviously in northern New Mexico, that's not a given either. So the challenges remain. And I'll say that this has been a really challenging 8 months for us. However, Northern is the one college, the one college of the 28 colleges and universities in New Mexico. We're the one college that has grown over the last year, over fall 2019 numbers. We grew 3% in student credit hours. We grew 11% in student headcount. I was just asked to make a presentation to the state legislature because they kind of said, hey, what the heck are you all doing up there in the north, because it's working. And by the way, I'm really proud that this wasn't because we pulled students from other colleges or universities. It wasn't that at all. It was just that more students who were not in the higher ed system are now here. And I think that is a testament to our student leadership, to our faculty, to our staff, to our community partners. It's a real celebratory time here at Northern. So I talked about the COVID additions, the exceptions, nursing skills labs, a few science labs. The other are potential 8-week courses. So one of the things that Dr. Lopez and the faculty have been working on is moving some of our curriculum into an 8-week instead of a 16-week term. They're going to be classes that start in January and have an 8-week term, but then there'll be another set of 8-week classes that start in mid-March, 3rd, 4th week of March. If we have a viable vaccine, and if we have all of our community members, or a certain amount of our proportion of our community members that have access to it and actually take that vaccine, so that we're actually developing the kind of immunity we need to keep each other safe, then we may explore the possibility of that second 8-week program being face-to-face. But even then, it would mean that the professor and that the students in that program were all wanting to do that in person, and then we'll pull the trigger and make that happen. And then the final exception for the spring are the trades. And so obviously the team here is working on the capability so that we are ready to do those classes in person. And if we have all those things I talked about in terms of the vaccine and immunity for our community, we are going to base the opening of those hands-on classes and the term of that based on that timeline. And so we're going to have to be flexible enough to know when that is. But I promise you that we will give plenty of time to the community to make sure that people know that's what we're doing. Okay, let me move forward with the tour of the El Rito campus. It's going to start with a video that was just shot about a week ago. It doesn't have any music yet or anything, but I'm really proud of it, and I want to share. I want to say a special thank you to Mateo Frazier, who runs, in addition to several other hats he wears, we have a drone program at the college, and that students are participating in. And so we got this aerial view of the El Rito campus to start our virtual tour. So with no further ado, please enjoy. Oh, and by the way, you're going to get a beautiful shot of this 1.5 megawatt solar array beauty that went operational December 20th.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So again, special thanks to Mateo for that. What you're looking at now is a site plan for the campus and shows many of the structures that we have. And what I thought I would do is give you an idea. So just so you know, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but so obviously this is oriented with north to the left of the screen. So coming in from Espanola, you'd be here on 554. And here, I'll do an overlay. Here are the things that I told John. These are the priorities that I wanted him to focus on, just to make sure that we were going to make the priority about the hands-on classes that we needed to offer. And so this is where a lot of the focus is. Now, it's really phase 1 and phase 2. Let me start with the absolute critical things. The absolute critical things were the research building, and we'll show you pictures of all of these. The research building, the old hazmat building, there was a soils lab in there. And so over time, this is a building that the front of it already had heat and water, so it was a good place to start. So Dr. Loetta and Stephen and John and Jason and the entire team, they've been working on making sure that this place is ready to go. In the short term, both the labs for both the plumbers and pipefitters and the electricians, they will be housed in this building. And also right now we're working on ADA compliant restrooms and everything else. So that is where a lot of this is going to start, and includes classroom space in here as well. The next priority is the South Dorm building. And the reason for that is we may have students who travel from more than an hour away and who actually want to stay. So we're working on dorms. But the bigger priority is actually the cafeteria and the dining hall. And the interesting thing is all of these are attached. We had a wonderful gift from Representative Susan Herrera. This was a year and a half ago. And so we already had started working on a plumbing project to redo. And so all of this is now, and Stephen can give you the details because he knows I'm a plumbing idiot, but there's basically new PEX piping and everything else that makes this a little bit more weather resistant now. And I think it's going to last for a long time, which is great. So now we've got cafeteria, we're working cafeteria, South dorms, and then Cutting Hall, which is just a showplace of northern New Mexico attached to this as well. You'll see a photo of that too, and that's a really good assembly area and meeting space. The next is, and actually I'm gonna kind of skip around here. The next is a greenhouse. You may have seen that in the aerial footage that we showed earlier. This was actually something that we had for forever, and but thanks to Rio Arriba County and our partnership with them, they actually helped us to get that thing constructed a few months ago, and then John will show you some of the things that they've been doing to kind of get that thing ready. That's really phase 1. That's the urgent things that we want to get open as soon as possible.
Diesel shop.
Yeah, so I'm going to say diesel shop is kind of phase 1.5, and here's why I say that. So what John's talking about here is the former home of the diesel base shop, the Spanish colonial woodworking, and we're going to see that in a minute. When that's going to be it's going to take a little bit longer, but when that is ready, this will remain the home of the electrician lab, but the plumber's lab will move over. And it'll actually occupy the front area of this diesel base shop. And for those of you who are familiar with that building and have been there a lot, we're talking about the front of the building where the meat cutting place used to be, that, you know, the kind of where that big crane used to be. It's going to be in that part of the building. And we'll talk about what we're going to use the rest of the building for. So that's phase 1 and phase 1 asterisk. And then the next phase of that will now include the north dorms. So south dorms have beds for about 42. The north dorms have beds for 58. So now we have sleeping opportunities for 100. And that opens up things like intensive workshops, retreats, and all of that. Delgado Hall, which you'll see, which was the original building on the campus back from 1909. Jaramillo Hall, which is our really like our primary classroom building. So I think all of those are kind of in a phase 2 approach. Okay. Now let's just go through some pictures so that you can see visually kind of what's happening. This is that research building. As I said, that's going to be the location for both the plumbers and pipe fitters and the electricians for their labs and classes. Here's that front, I think if this is the front classroom in that building.
It is. Mm-hmm. That's,
oh, go ahead, Steve.
That's the that's going to be the electrical classroom.
Okay.
For now, and mine's more in the back of the building.
Okay. Here's some of the lab, and Stephen, I don't know if you want to mention anything on this, but obviously you can see we're moving equipment in both for the electrician students and for the plumbers and pipe fitters.
Well, just the little down on the right-hand corner there, that's some of the tools that we bought with the mill levy money. And, you know, those are like, one of them is a PEX tool, which people don't really use copper anymore to do domestic hot water. So it's all done in PEX, and that's an expanding tool. It's a really good tool for the future. And we're also going to have I think I mentioned a press tool where you can put copper together without soldering, and also gas pipes. So we're going to have those, and can't see it, but there's a drafting table also. We're going to teach drawing, plan drawing and isometric drawings. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
So when I talked about the South Dorm and I said, and I used the word PEX, did it sound like I knew what I was talking about?
It did.
Okay, that's fantastic.
I want
Make it till you make it.
I want to show Stephen there's something that arrived yesterday, right there in the very bottom right. That's the sea snake, spelled S-E-E, where
Yes.
the camera meant to go down drain pipes up to 300 feet. Because we know we have a drainage system that has been used more by the trees than people for too long, and we have to evaluate what's good and what's not. And this is state of the art. Comes with a digital monitor and a navalocator so that it can tell exactly where it is underground if you find something that requires digging. So we are moving to state of the art tools that will be useful to the campus, but also be very good for developing professionals to use these tools.
Correct. Good. That's right. Yeah. There's a big market for people that know how to handle drain cleaning equipment.
Fantastic. Okay. Now here's a picture of kind of facing, looking to the southwest. And this is that big building I was telling you about. So this is the South Dorm, dining hall and kitchen space and cutting hall all in one. There's a little bit better picture of the front entrance of that building. This is cutting hall, that beautiful space I talked about, and the picture, Jason is wonderful, but even Jason would admit that it doesn't do justice to this place. It really is I think that one of the show places of the region. But it's a good assembly spot. This is our dining hall. You'll notice, I think, if you look closely at the picture, that all of these chairs that were here were built by students at Northern, and each of them is slightly different, and they're different because the students followed a basic model. It was I guess it's now a thing of yore, but and of lore, but the El Rito chair program. The basic chairs were all very much the same model, but but then the students were able to be creative in terms of how they designed the top of this. So all of that is, that's why all of these were independent and unique. Right to the right of this picture is a full-size commercial kitchen, which is actually already passed its inspection, and so it's going to be ready to go. Oh, one last thing, because the question will probably come up. We're going to talk about timelines and kind of the rhythm of the coursework and everything. But when there are going to be students and we're going to be operating, this kitchen will be providing meals not only to the students and the faculty, but it'll be open to the public as well. So the public will be able to come in and enjoy meals while that cafeteria is open.
That's great.
Yeah. So here's that diesel bay building I talked about. This is the future plumbers and pipe fitters lab. And this is the space. I'll show you two sides of it. This and the next slide are both showing the same room. But Stephen, anything you want to add to just the discussion of this? This is going to be your future laboratory.
Well, one thing I like about this lab is it has good ventilation. There's so we're going to be doing a lot of soldering and brazing. So we are going to have some fumes that, can be a little noxious, can irritate your eyes or maybe irritate your throat a little bit. So really important to have good ventilation. And one side of the building is going to be theory, and then the other side is going to be where we're going to be doing hands-on. So, and we're going to build these, we're going to have these tables. We're going to model them after the union, where we can do the plumbing underneath the table, and then we can bring the plumbing up through into a wall that's going to be framed above on the table. And we're going to have multiple tables, and when you push them together, we're going to have a bathroom. So we're going to be able to build a bathroom plumbing from the ground up all the way to where the vents would go through the ceiling. So with the domestic hot water, and we have fixtures on order. We're going to set the toilets and the bathtubs and the sinks and things like that too. So yeah, it's going to be good.
Fantastic. And the problem is they're going to be in such high demand, we're going to have to do whatever we can to keep them in class so that they're not being pulled to go do things in the village. Okay, this was a strategic decision. So right on the other side of the wall from where Stephen was just describing, this is the former home of the Spanish colonial woodworking program, where a lot of those chairs were made and everything else. Some of the doors. So this is a really special place. We made the strategic decision to keep this place intact and not use it for anything else. The reason is because it already has a built-in ducting system for all of the sawdust and everything else that comes from the program. And so it gives us the option to reintroduce the woodworking program here. We think that's important for us, not just historically and not just culturally, but we really think it's an important community asset. And so we're gonna hold on and give ourselves the option to bring that back.
We were looking at this recently and saw that we do have the primary the joiners on chop saws, table saws, mortise planers, not as many as there once were. Some of this equipment's well traveled. It's been down to Espanola and came back. The drill press doesn't have a chuck on it, but it won't take much to get that back going again when the time comes.
Awesome, thanks, John.
Yeah.
And then this is all still part of the same building. Then this is this huge kind of warehouse part of this building, which is where the diesel base shop used to be located. In fact, you can see part of this huge crane that could, no kidding, lift diesel engines. I don't know how much they weigh, quite a bit, and they could pull these. We're able to pull them out with this. This is still operational, by the way. Yeah, go ahead, John.
We had a disappointment that the biochar isn't here yet. But the Collaborative Forest Restoration Program funded a biochar plus energy demonstration project, working with Southwest Energy Integrators and the Troll Works. And it's interesting, they were planning to come up on March 25th, approximately the same day the governor issued the shutdown orders. And they decided to continue their work on development of the system down in Silver City, where they're based. And they were planning to come up and have something here for today, and had another delay due to some dental work and the like that was urgently needed on the part of Gordon. But this may be heating the whole building in a way that is carbon negative and revenue positive, because it runs on the on wood chips that are pelletized and pyrolyzed to make biochar. And that sells for a lot more as an aid to regenerative agriculture. It sells for a lot more than the wood chips cost. And the heat that's generated, the gas that's released, is burned for heat that may turn out to be a net cost of free. So we may have something that is actually revenue positive and carbon negative heating this building. I hope we can all show it all to you when we get to open up.
Right on. And for those who know Quentin Wilson, here's some of his handiwork with the with the Adobe program. Actually, there are only, apparently, from what I got from Quentin, there are only 2 models using this style in the world. There was another one that used to be here, and Quentin gave us permission to move that one, but this one, there are only 2 like it in the world. So we're keeping it here for now because we want to preserve it, and we'll look and see what we can do to help preserve this. Okay. Now we're going to talk about, we're kind of skipping around a little bit. This is phase 2 now. Delgado Hall was the original site of the college back in 1909. In fact, about a year and a half ago, we were able to work with the state historian, and we were able to place this building on the state historic registry. So it is the one facility on the campus that's actually on the state historic registry. And this plaque now sits right here on the side of the building. And we were able to unveil this with the, the Northern New Mexico Normal School Alumni Association. They had a homecoming event, and we were able to reveal this with them and celebrate this with them. Here's our North Dormant Alumni Hall. The Alumni Hall used to be the old gymnasium, and so that was converted into Alumni Hall and really displays a lot of the photos of different classes. We are going to be working with the Alumni Association on a future site on the campus. I can't give specifics because we haven't identified everything yet, but a specific site that actually becomes kind of a museum and an archive for a lot of the Alumni Association's collectibles. So that's coming. And then this is the North Dorm that I told you has 58 beds and really would expand our sleeping capacity to 100.
I do want to say that it has been getting some use on the 3rd Thursday of each month, as it has for a while, as a food depot distribution point. That's become more popular under COVID conditions, and approximately 100 boxes of food go out each month to help people out in times of need.
And in fact, Jason is critical to. He's really
vice president of it.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention that there's a brand new boiler in that building too.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
That was a big expense, but that's going to last for many, many years also. So
beautiful.
But
thanks.
That district heating system will probably put a use and probably be tying it to the char and maybe even solar thermal. Stephen didn't talk about his legacy of solar work. He was one of the pioneers of solar thermal in New Mexico.
We're hoping to do that. Yes, we could get some solar heated hot water in the cafeteria. It'd be great.
Yeah, that's the overarching goal, and this is something that Bruce and I have talked about, Quentin and I have talked about for a while. But we are setting the goal of having both of our campuses energy net zero by 2030. That's an ambitious goal, but if we can do this with a 111-year-old campus, then you can do it anywhere. And the Energy Minerals Natural Resources Department at the state is really excited about our vision for this, and I think they're going to help us. Okay, and so this is kind of one of the newest members of the infrastructure family here in El Rito. This was a greenhouse, like I said, that thanks to the county, they helped us build this thing. And it was kind of late spring, early summer. And as you can see, John and the team have been already kind of putting some things in here. So John, you want to give us just a 60-second update on this?
Maybe I'll start from the bottom left, where those black squares there are photovoltaic collectors. And we have hidden the batteries and the charge controllers. And then below them on each side are solar thermal collectors. And what we have on the right we're starting to set up a hydroponic array. This is all inspired by the Santa Fe Community College and their controlled climate agriculture, as well as a vertical farming movement of high intensity agriculture under controlled conditions. The pool is there for 2 reasons. One, to provide thermal mass. And this winter, we're just going to be testing things and see what happens under pretty much passive conditions. We're not going to put a lot of power in there, but see how it gets through a winter before you start to rely on it. And then we're hoping that it becomes a real learning tool for us to gain from this movement of intensive agriculture. And the goal is that all the food in the cafeteria should be grown locally and either by local farmers or the cattlemen or right on campus.
Thanks, John. And
Aquaponics, this will trout in the winter and tilapia in the summer. Maybe next year.
yeah, and so that's what we're talking about. We're talking about organic, sustainable agriculture. We're talking about using this as a source for the food that we give to students in the cafeteria and to our community members. The other nice thing, and it's hard to see here, this I don't know if you can see my cursor, but this is the YDI building. There actually, I talked to PED about this. There actually may be a Head Start program which will serve the precursor to the kids who are going to be in the elementary school across the street. They're actually thinking of starting that back up. Well, right on the other side of that building is the El Rito Senior Center. And so we're actually going to work on making sure that there is easy access, wheelchair access from the senior center to the greenhouse, because one of the things I challenged John to do is to have some type of tabletop gardening activity space so that the seniors can actually come, obviously when it's safe to do so now after COVID, but a place where they can come and do some of the tabletop gardening.
More than half the site is left for beds and raised beds, either directly in the dirt or wheelchair access. We've been salvaging a lot of things out of the old sheep shed. You may notice that these are the old bed frames from the previous dorms. So we're finding a lot of useful things. Actually, we spent almost nothing to equip this. That was my backyard pool that, if it turns out that the top ring was unrepairable. So, but we're hoping we can learn a lot from working with this, but we want to share it with the community. There's so much talent and knowledge among those who are in the senior center. That'd be really nice to work on sustainable and traditional seeds. So we have high hopes that this may be a real lively place for the future.
And I know
the Plumbers coming tomorrow.
Hey, and here's the other thing, because I know that Caroline and Bruce are going to ask this. Because John has used this as a pool, we will disinfect the hell out of it before the tilapia that comes out. Okay. So hey, that's in a nutshell. That's our virtual tour. So I'm gonna stop share and bring us all back, and let me just stop there and kind of open it up for questions and comments, recommendations. We're open for suggestions.
So I have a question, Rick.
Sure. Yes, Caroline.
I can imagine there are several people that I know and that we all know who would love to hear and see this presentation who are not present right now. How can community members access the recording of this meeting?
I am so glad that you asked, Caroline. So let me see if he is still.
Ken's here.
Is he here?
Yeah.
So we have our
I'm here.
Our distance education team is Dr. Ken Dvorak, who just popped on the camera, and James McCoe. And so what Ken did Ken and James did right before we started, they're recording this. So what we'll do is take the recording of this meeting. We might, for John's credit, airbrush out the talk about him and the disinfectant in the pool, and then we'll make a YouTube link so that anyone can click on the YouTube link and watch the meeting.
I really thought that interaction with John in the pool added gravitas to this whole thing.
It actually went from G to PG-13. We talked about that. So, yeah. Oh, thank you, Caroline. And Ken, if you don't mind, please remind me about that. What we'll do is we'll work with Sandy
Right.
and David to put a YouTube link on this.
But
Thank you.
I do want to mention about aquaponics. what really powers the growing of vegetables on the pool is a fish poop that produces the nitrates that the plants thrive on. So
It's just getting deeper, John. It's just
Yeah.
getting deeper now. Okay, any other questions or comments, thoughts?
So, Dr. Bailey, this is Deb Wagner.
Hey, Deb.
Hi there. Quick question about the greenhouse. And I think you probably already know what I'm going to ask, but how will the lights from the greenhouse impact the observatory and the space outside around it?
Yeah, great question. Thank you for asking, Deb. And so you heard John mention in his presentation that the biochar device was going to arrive on March 27th or something like that. Well, thanks to Deb and some other wonderful volunteers, we had also kind of revitalized, and actually Lynette was a big part of this. We revitalized the observatory. We were going to have a big grand opening, and that was going to happen on March 26th. And so obviously that got put on hold as well. The thing that makes the observatory work is the fact that we just have very little light pollution in Rito. And so I will tell you the goal. The goal here is to not just for the greenhouse, not just for the lights on the campus, but also for the lights at the elementary school, because that's the other big kind of source of light pollution. Is to we're not there yet, Deb. I'm working on it, but the idea is to have almost a dimmer switch, basically, that's controlled by us at the observatory after prior coordination, so that we can actually turn those lights down at the moment at which we're actually using the observatory. I do, yeah. Hold on a second, John. I do want to say, Deb, and I know you've been working with me on this for a while. I think last week, after about a year and a half, we were able to secure a $5,000 gift from the Lano Foundation. We finally just were able to get the bureaucracies to work together on this, and so now we have funding for the observatory to make that project work as soon as it's safe to do so. So that's coming. Go ahead, John.
I believe the sight line is such that the greenhouse should not, even if it were going to be lit up all night, which I don't believe it will be, that I don't think that would interfere with the observatory. But I did want to say that not just the Lano Foundation is also giving us a video studio, so we can be preparing online course content and having that capability that will also be used for some CAD studies. And the other one, I've been meeting with Renewable Taos on a regular basis, and Kit Carson not only is bringing the high-speed internet that is 100 meg now and can go up to gigabit speeds, but they got a VW settlement electric car charging stations. They had applied for 14. We're only funded for 6, and we're getting one on our campus. So we will soon. We don't have a gas station. I don't think we'll ever have one again in El Rito, but we'll have a place where people can refill their electric cars with energy from that solar array, and hopefully soon a battery array to match it.
Yeah, I think that's a big step for us. And my guess is that at the point at which the infrastructure for electric vehicle charging is widespread enough, that entire industry is going to shift. So yeah, so I'm glad that we're on the leading edge of that. So El Rito will have a vehicle charging station here pretty soon.
And we talked to the company that's doing the installs and about workforce development and local training of local workers to do. It will be installed by local workers, and we're in line to host some training sessions for them.
Beautiful. Bruce, go ahead.
Rick, yeah, I have a question for Deb. Are you still there, Deb?
Hey, Deb.
All right, yes, I'm here. I
Oh,
was
okay.
trying to find my mute button. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
As I recall, when the observatory was built, there was a desire and capability to allow remote access to the telescope. Is that still available, or something that might happen soon?
So no, actually, remote access is probably not feasible with this particular observatory and telescope.
Okay.
And actually, I've spoken with a lot of educators who want to bring their students to the observatory, and they don't want remote access. They can remotely access telescopes around the world. They want to bring their kids to a dark sky site, get them out under the stars, let them see the observatory, the telescope, and hopefully someday, maybe there'll be an astronomy club in El Rito that can bring out their own telescopes and do little star parties for the visitors.
Okay. That sounds
Bruce?
good to me.
Let me add, if I may, to Deb's answer, because and I really have to give her credit for this, and a team of people. But one of the things we were trying to do is make it make the event an experience. So, and you know, for those who have been inside that observatory, even after you take the spider webs out, there's not a whole lot of space in there. So you can't put 20 kids in there. It's a little bit more difficult to do. So, but Deb and her team are working on is actually and Deb, tell me if I say something stupid, which probably will happen. You can erase the recording on this too. That there's going to be kind of a camera, some kind of aperture there, so that in addition to the student who's actually looking through the scope, they're also going to be there also potentially will be a way for there to be students outside with iPads who are able to see the same thing that's going through the.
Oh, that'd be great.
lens.
Yeah, it's actually a camera that drops in where the eyepiece would. And you know, if you have a big group, you can actually have students with tablets or their phones. And that's part of the reason, actually, we've talked about an astronomy club and trying to get kind of educate people and help them become facilitators, so that they offload some of the work of the facilitator in the observatory. So kids can be outside at telescopes and then take turns going inside to the observatory.
The interesting thing about this project is the things that I thought were going to be difficult actually were easier than I thought, and the things that I took for granted are now real big challenges. So, for example, the thing that I thought was going to be complicated, kind of reworking it, the electronics, and all I had to do was just ask Deb, and she figured it out. So that was the easy part. Easy, let me say that, easy for me, not easy for Deb, because it was a total nightmare, I'm sure. The things that I took for granted, prairie dogs. So we can't have a group of second graders standing out in a field at night, knowing that there are holes that they can actually step in and hurt themselves. And so we've got to think about grading the land every time. It's all those kind of weird things that we're going to have to figure out. But we are going to make it work. We'll make it work, and we're excited about it.
There are dirt tunnels everywhere.
Yes, thank you, Barbara.
So Rick, just think of softball games or baseball games. They have to dress the infield, so that's what they have to do.
That's what it'll be. Hey, let me also say one other thing, and this is because I want to be very open and transparent about it. This is the challenge that I see that we haven't. Prairie dogs are one thing, and this is not observatory. This is larger. But the other, I think that one of the largest constituents that we're going to have once we do these hands-on classes, actually, I was talking to Bruce about this earlier, are going to be high school students, dual credit students who are going to want to come here as a part of their high school experience. And because of the partnerships we've made with the local 412 and with the local 611, they're going to back credit students who are in our program. Because normally for the students who want to have union jobs and work that pathway to that apprenticeship, you have to be a high school graduate or equivalent. Well, they've kind of made through this deal, they're going to get back credit for things that they had while they were in high school, which is fantastic. So it puts them that farther ahead in the apprenticeship program. We're not thinking about this in a 20th century way. So we're not thinking about the scheduling of this. It's not going to be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 2 to 4 because El Rito is El Rito. We recognize that it's not easily accessible transportation wise. So because a lot of our public education partners work on 4-day weeks, what Dr. Loetta and his team are thinking about, and I'm really supportive of it, is trying to do all of those hands-on classes on one day of the week, and likely it will be on Fridays. So the idea is that students in all of our partner school districts would have transportation coming into El Rito on Friday morning. They would take their classes all day, and then in the afternoon they would take the transportation back to their high school. And again, when we were fighting for the passage of the mill levy, one of the things that I promised everybody is that we were going to have a free transportation system. So that is something that we are still working on, so that we can, so that I can fulfill that promise to the community. The 5 partner school districts are Española, Pojoaque, Mesa Vista, Chama, and Jemez Mountain. And so when you look at that large area footprint, I think it's the largest geographic community college district in the state. Well, if you look at those 5 districts, roughly the geographic center of that is the El Rito campus. So in a way, it works out perfectly for what we're trying to do, and those 2 wicked problems that I had talked about trying to solve at the beginning of the presentation tonight. So I feel good about that, but that transportation system is something that we're still working on, and we're gonna make happen. And we'll have it in place by the time those classes start. Last thing I'll say, and this is the future vision. So we also recognize that there may be students in Cuba or Cuesta or Raton or others that want to come in and take those classes as well. So for those who are going to be more than an hour away, we also wanted an opportunity for those students to be able to drive into El Rito on Thursday night, stay in the dorms, wake up Friday morning, have breakfast at the cafeteria, do all their classes, stay Friday night, and then after breakfast on Saturday, head back. So it basically, we're trying to do everything we can to minimize the challenges of physical transportation in the system. So that's something else we're working on. Any other questions? Yeah, Bruce.
Yeah, when we spoke this morning at the post office, our favorite spot to chat, you mentioned something about wanting to have more non-high school students.
Yeah, thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Bruce. And you know, I'll ask Dr. Loetta to weigh in too. COVID has made everything crazy. We know that. We recognize that. What we're getting is anecdotal evidence that we are going to have a lot of high school students who are interested in the program. What we don't have yet is a robust footprint of adult learners who are mid-career course change or really interested in becoming a plumber, pipe fitter, or an electrician. Those numbers aren't there yet. So part of that is because we don't have the hands-on classes, and I understand that. But I think we're going to be really aggressive in making sure that the word gets out there. So I would ask for all of your help too, to say, hey, you know, these folks are serious about getting these programs started. And we want to make sure that the community knows that this opportunity is available to them. The other thing that the mill levy did, by the way, because we have Dr. Lopez on, the mill levy allows for the community college tuition rate to be reduced. So very much like community colleges around the state, because there is that local incentive, we were able to lower. So students taking classes at the four-year college pay a different tuition rate than students are going to pay, that adult learners are going to pay for the community college.
Right, and we're also providing the textbooks for the students as to the mill levy. So that's a big plus. So they don't have, none of the students have to buy textbooks. And we also have a web book to start out with now in conjunction with, well, this is a workbook for our textbook, but I don't know if y'all can see it or not.
Yeah, it's fading in and out, but we can see it.
Yeah, lean in, Stephen, lean in.
Yeah. No, this is good.
But yeah, we have a web book that goes along with that too. So we'll start out with the web book and then work into the textbook itself when we're able to have a hands-on learning. So
yeah, here's the other thing that I want to point out for dual credit students. So for high school students who are taking these classes, the classes are free. So it's only outside community members, and they're the ones who are paying tuition. But for high school dual credit students, there's no cost. Caroline.
We just got our Rio Arriba County tax bill today, And we noticed that the mill levy tax is on there. And I just want to say, it makes me happy to see my tax dollars at work doing all the things that you're describing.
Oh my, you know what? I thought that was going to end up so differently, Carolyn. Because let me tell you, there are a lot of people in our community who have called me with a very different message. Hey,
I bet.
son of a whatever, I just got my, I mean, jokingly, but yeah. So no, in a way, part of that, that's part of this dialogue, is to make sure that you know, people know we're being really thoughtful about. And we know that the community has really put their trust in us to do this. So thank you, Caroline, for saying that. I appreciate it.
And Rick, one more. We read about the cannabis program in the paper today. And can you tell us a little bit more about that? And we actually know of a couple of local graduate already out of high school folks who are interested in that. Who would they contact?
Sure. So right now in New Mexico, there are 2,500 employees today in New Mexico who work in the medical cannabis industry. So they are people who are out there doing all kinds of things. Most of them are actually in the dispensing and customer service point of this. The problem is, not the problem, the challenge is that for a lot of those people in that workforce, there is no formal education program. And if you think about medical cannabis, and by the way, I'm not an expert. After 24 years in the Air Force, shocker, the Air Force did not let its pilots use cannabis. But so I'm not an expert on it, but I do know that the people who are employed in this system without formal education, there was a survey recently of medical cannabis users, people who have prescriptions for medical cannabis, and over 90% of them, I think it was 93, 94% of them, say that the person that they get most of their information from about the product is what they call it, a bud tender, the person who's actually working at the dispensary, who could be a 19-year-old, no offense to the young, but could be someone who has no formal education and is actually telling them about the products. And these are medically prescribed products. So what we've been talking about with the governor and the governor's office for the last, gosh, I've been probably doing this for 2 years now, is what if we could redesign it? What if we could redesign the system so that, and by the way, New Mexico would do what California's not doing, Colorado's not doing, Arizona's not doing, Nevada's not doing, Washington State's not doing. And that is a marriage between higher education, the State Department of Health, and the State Department of Registration and Licensing. At that point now, all roads to that industry would go through higher education. And the school that the governor has asked to be the pilot program for this is Northern. So the idea is, and the goal is to have a 3 credit hour course that will be available starting next summer. It could be a little bit earlier depending on our approvals, but I imagine it'll be next summer. It's going to be online. And all of the people who are in that industry right now are going to go through that program. And for future employees of this workforce, that 3 credit hour class and the credit that Northern gives out is now the ticket to the licensing for the individuals who are working in that career field. And so I said there's 2,500 employees right now in the system. If the state eventually approves adult use, recreational cannabis, and that'll be up to the legislature. We're not going to weigh in on that. But that number will jump from 2,500 to 17,000 because now there'll be that many more employees in the state and the tax revenue from that and everything else. So there is an incentive that the legislature is considering because of what it can do to diversify New Mexico's economy. So I do think there's a move forward. The last thing I'll say, Bruce, and I'm sorry for the long answer to your question, but I think the long-term vision is that there would be 2 institutions statewide who are doing this work. Northern would be the hub in the north, and New Mexico State University would be the hub in the south. And the other thing is because they're the agriculture school, that they'll also be able to share with us that piece of the industry.
So,
And the contact person?
The contact person is Mateo Frazier. who, by the way, is responsible for that aerial drone footage. So clearly he wears many hats. And let me give, Yvonne, if it's okay, I think what I'll do is just give his email address.
Yep, that's fine. And just to say, okay, that the intent is to have the course available the spring, okay, January, okay. We have to take certain things to the board, okay, to the regions, okay, at their next meeting, and but the idea is that the course is offered, okay, in the spring semester, okay, so in a couple of months.
And I know the other question that everyone's talking about is going to be is the greenhouse now going to be a hotbed of cannabis growth? No. So I'm thinking about that. Hey, I just, if I may, because I'm looking at the chat. For those who joined late, Joshua Lopez is our student senate president. It was really great to have him join us tonight. So Josh, thank you so much for being a part of this. We appreciate your leadership. We look forward to your benevolent reign as our student senate leader, and we're here to support you as well. So thank you, sir.
Thank you, and thank you.
So Dr. Bailey, I could help you with a certification exam for your cannabis program.
Ah, very nice. You know, it's interesting, Deb, we're working with there is a group called Seedcrest. They're based in Albuquerque, and they have been doing this testing, and but not for college credit. They've been basically doing this themselves, and so some of the large employers have been sending their workforce to them over the years, but there was never any college credit component, and so the dialogue that we've had also involves this team. So yeah, I'll definitely make some introductions. Any other questions? I see we have Angie Krall with us tonight from the Forest Service. Thank you, Angie, for joining us. We appreciate it.
Hi, Angie.
Hello. Hey, I would just add how much the El Rito campus has served restoration work in northern New Mexico when we've used it as an incident command post and ICP, and look forward to future collaboration there with a land use agreement to continue having our crews base there to do the good works in the forest when we do have a managed fire. So I just want to thank Dr. Bailey and all who helped us kind of set up there, and we've also talked about in the future perhaps tribal fire academy. Once the dorms and the cafeteria are up and running, we would love to look more closely at how we can do those types of things there. So super exciting stuff, y'all.
Yeah, thanks, Angie. We really appreciate it. And you know what, Angie and I have a family connection that goes way back. So Angie, you're going to have to keep this a secret, but because Diana's going to kill me for telling this story. But so this was about a year ago, and Diana was in Pueblo visiting her mom and her aunt, and all the firefighters were out here working I think it was the Bonita fire. And so we had 300 firefighters who were all camped out all over the campus here. And I'm on the phone with my wife in Colorado, and she said, "What's going on? It sounds like there's a lot of stuff." And I said, "Yeah." So I was standing right outside my house, and I said, and it was like 7 a.m. And I said, "Yeah, it's just this crazy sight. We have 300 firefighters all camping out all over the campus, and they're just kind of waking up, and they're walking around with no shirts on and their shorts, and they're playing volleyball." And I could actually hear her start the car and start driving to El Rito. So I thought it was for me. Apparently that didn't. So don't tell her I told you that story. But we're really grateful, Angie. We're grateful for everything that you do and that the Forest Service does to keep us safe. I know you've had a crazy busy summer, and a lot of things going on. So from all of us in the village, we really appreciate you and your team. Thanks for everything.
And I want to add to that some of the heat for the diesel shop will be coming from wood chipped off of the thinning right there on the district office here in El Rito. So one more collaboration.
Yes,
Absolutely.
and I will add, I put in for the Great American Outdoors Act this year to really do some work at El Rito Campground, just for everybody's information. So I'm really hoping where do you see there's my,
We're all doing it. We're all doing it. Fingers crossed.
COVID and outdoor recreation really presented challenges this year, and it unveiled a lot of our weaknesses, right? All of us everywhere in all facets of society. But we hope that we can leverage that actually to really develop the campground into a place that really serves Northern New Mexico families better. So keep your fingers crossed for us.
Will do. Thanks, Angie. I've kept you all super late. I apologize. Do we have anyone want to make any final comments, final thoughts? Okay. So here's what we'll do. Let me get back to Caroline's question. What we'll do is we will record this meeting. We'll create a YouTube link, and then we'll create a flyer that has that YouTube link, and I'll make sure that it's available in the post office and post it so that we can, flyers that we can hand out for anyone who wants to catch up with the.
Thank you. Great.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Really appreciate all of you joining us tonight. Have a wonderful night, and we will talk to you all soon.
Before you go, Rick, I want to say one thing. Caroline and I don't know who else, maybe John, served on a committee in about 2008 to look at brainstorming for the El Rito campus. And nothing ever happened until you came. And it is now really happening. We appreciate you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Bruce. I appreciate it.
Here.
Well, we've had some really good guides here on the mission. So, and this is going to be a shocker, but a lot of you here in El Rito not shy about giving advice. So that has helped out. That's helped out tremendously.
Good night.
All right.
Good night. Thank you, Dr. Bailey.
Stay safe and well.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
everybody.
all. Good night.
Bye, everybody.